you're new to my channel, make sure you click that subscribe button and punch that bell so you get notifications whenever I upload any new content, which is usually on Wednesdays. Hope you enjoy the video. Hey YouTube, it's motomattman. How's it going? Happy St. Patrick's Day. Of course, when you see this, it won't be St. Patrick's Day, but happy St. Patrick's Day. Got my plan for today. Take a ride on the bike, talk to you guys on YouTube, take my youngest daughter to softball practice inside, of course, still. It is a sunny day, but it's just at 50 degrees. It's supposed to get warmer, but we're still practicing inside, at least for now, because there's a lot of stuff like tonight's hitting. We're better off doing it inside. But got that going on. Gonna have corned beef and cabbage for dinner, and going to probably drink a few Killians. So that's my St. Patty's Day plan. Now, as far as talking to y'all, here's what I want to talk about. Last week I talked about what is it that you're most looking forward to, and I gave some of the things that I was most looking forward to as far as things starting to open back up again, and hopefully us getting more back to normal. But today I want to talk about as sucky as last year was. There's some things that I think were positives that came out of it. I want to talk about those. I want to look at it from the positive standpoint. Yes, the coronavirus made everything go to shit, to put it bluntly, but there were some things that really weren't that bad. Some positives that came out of it. Positive number one, and that would be spending time with the family. That's positive thing number one. More people spend time home with their family. Spent less time running around, going shopping, just spending money just to spend money, to spend time with their families. You know, doing things at home like we used to. That's one of the positive things that came out of it, and I think that's a huge positive thing. I think a lot of us took a step back and took stock on what was important, really important to us. Not the stuff, but the other things in life. You know, give you a good example. Today it's 50 degrees outside. The sun is shining. You know, one of the things that I think I paid a little bit more attention to last year was during the summertime, just the feel of the warm sun on my face. You know, when the initial like fear and everything that everybody had went away, and people started actually leaving the house, just walking outside and feeling the warm sun on your face. You know, things that all of this couldn't take away. I didn't personally get to experience it. It's something that I missed, and that's the sound of the waves crashing on the shore. I mean, being from Virginia Beach, it's something that I miss living in Ohio anyway, and I got a little taste of that going up to Lake Erie. For those of you that don't know, Lake Erie or the Great Lakes, I mean, they're huge. They're not like your local lake that you go putt around on your pontoon boat. I mean, these things are massive. I mean, Lake Erie is one of the borders between the U.S. and Canada. It's huge. They use ships and barges and whatnot on the lake. Okay, so, you know, it's not a little bitty thing. Am I going the right way? I don't even know if I'm going the right way or not. Anyway, that's one of the things, you know. Well, I missed a shift. Gotta adjust this shifter peg. It gets knocked around, and I don't know how that happens. And it catches my foot funny. But, you know, I was really grateful for the time I got to spend with my girls at the softball field. You know, the time I spent on the bike and the time fiddling around with the bike. I actually found more time in my day and in my weeks and months to get some stuff done. Time that I didn't think I had before. And then I realized, hey, I do have this time. The problem is I spend so much time with crap that I miss out on some of the things that are important or that I really enjoy in life because I'm running around doing other stupid shit. And that was one of those things that I realized from it. You know, you talk to people differently. At least I hope you do. Opel GT and an old Camaro. Well, not an old Camaro, but like a late 80s, early 90s Camaro. But anyway, you know, gave a little bit of different perspective on some things and what was important, you know. The dumb little things, playing a board game with the family. I mean, when was the last time you played a board game? Now here's another thing. I'm going to come check this out and hopefully I can show you guys around a little bit. It's one of our local metro parks. That's another thing that people, at least in this area, took advantage of more so than they had in the past. I think was the metro parks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to park this puppy and then I'm going to get out my old phone and take it for a walk and see if there's one thing over here that's kind of cool and I want to show you all it. Let me go up here so I can pull in this way and back in. Something that's kind of cool that this park has is a little bit different than some other like metro park kind of things. Yeah, this is good. Okay. All right. Let's shut all this off and I'll pick you up with the camera phone. Okay, we'll see how this works. Okay, this is Jaga Park District. A little building over here that we'll cross over to. I don't know how well this is going to come out, but we'll see what we get out of it. Okay. So you got this little building that I imagine is like closed until the Rona mess is done. But you got this building, I imagine it's got like maps and stuff inside, and you got restrooms and whatnot. It's pretty nice deal here. Yeah, you can look in and see the maps and stuff in there. Anyway, get this little lake deal here. Looks like a little bike rack thing down here. You got this little lake here. I mean, it goes for a ways back in there. But you got the lake deal. You got a pavilion over there. Let's take a walk down this way and go down to the lake. Do it this way. We don't need to walk through the pavilion. Should have really brought my gimbal, but I didn't feel like carrying a backpack. You got this deal here. You know, but it's one of those things that, you know, the governor even suggested to people to get out and about and enjoy our local parks and stuff, get fresh air. And up here at the little pavilion thing, they got a couple of grills. You could cook out or whatever. Right on the bike path. Hey. Little fishing pier thing down here. that you got going on as well. Nobody fishing there today, but but you could. Nice cut stone for a bench here. Around on the other side of the lake is really the thing that's a pond, I guess. It's not a lake, it's just a big pond. You get an idea here how big it is, and then there's more water meanders around. You see that side over there, the water's on the other side of it too. But this is a newer park, so you got some different things here than you would back in the day. The big thing I'm curious of is if they got going on over here. We're gonna find out in a minute. Probably not because of the virus. But once the virus is gone, maybe it'll open back up. And nice little man-made waterfall deal down in there. Not a bad place to go for a walk, especially on a hot day in the summer. Or even a nice springish kind of day today. You see, you got a rock climbing thing. They took the pegs off of that. Not allowed to do that. And this is probably closed. Well, maybe it'll open back up. You got a rope course thing here. I don't know if you can see that or not. But there's also like a... See, you can see it up there. Hopefully. And there was a zip line deal here. And hopefully, you know, that'll get back and going again. You got like a walkthrough over here. There's all kinds of trails everywhere. But you got like a baby BMX track. Or, you know, there's some other obstacles and stuff, and this leads into like a mountain biking course. But you know, you got some berms and little whoops and a little jump kind of deal. Of course, when my kids were out here, they thought it'd be a great idea to bring the dirt bikes out here. I told them, I said, I don't think they'll go for that. But anyway, it's kind of a walk around the park, little log cabin looking thing. And like I said, this deal right here was a rock climbing thing, a boulder wall, I guess is what they call it, Freedom Boulder Wall. But they took all of the hand holds and the footholds off of it. And I'm sure that's because of COVID is why that was done. But anyway, that's this little park here. There's much more to it. There's miles of trails and whatnot. But I thought I'd bring you out here, show you this little thing. Then we'll go back and get on the bike and go for a little more ride. This is one of the little hidden gems here. You know, really pretty place. But anyway, I'll end this part right here and I'll catch up with you back on the bike. Okay, and off we go. So anyway, that's one of the things that that you could have done. You still can. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm sure Canada's the same way, and I'm sure it's the same way just about everywhere. See, this is Clarendon Woodlands, the part of the Geauga Park district, not part of our Cleveland Metro Parks, but part of the Geauga Park districts. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that everywhere you've got parks, and I don't mean like little city parks in the middle of the city. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those either, don't get me wrong, but I mean parks like this with bike and hike trails and ponds and fishing or kayaking or whatever that we drive by daily and don't even think about, that are a great place to go yourself or a great place to take the kids, you know, take the family, spend some time. You know, you got to figure, in a way, you're paying for it, might as well use it. You know, your tax money is, in a lot of ways, is supporting these parks. Now they have private donations and so forth, and business donations and whatnot, I'm sure. You know, and people that are that donate as part of Friends of the Parks and stuff. But, you know, there's plenty of these little parks. Take your time, go visit them. I mean, some of them are like hidden gems. I mean, everybody knows about things like Yosemite, you know, National Park, but Grand Canyon, Teton, I mean, all of those. But hey, visit your little local ones. I mean, take a day and go visit them. I mean, you never know what you're going to find there. I mean, there's one that has like a maple trail around here. It's down near in the Middlefield area, that they'll teach you all about how they harvest the maple syrup and turn it into the maple from the tree, and then turn it into consumable maple syrup and maple sugar and all of that stuff. I mean, they walk you through the whole process. And my youngest daughter had a school field trip to that, and I went with her, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, there were a lot of other things they were talking about, the different types of trees and wildlife and vegetation and whatnot. But I mean, some of the stuff could be really interesting. You know, some of the parks too, you know, have other historical things connected to them. I encourage everybody to go check them out. I mean, it's one of those things, like I said, you could take advantage of, and we did as a family multiple times last summer, you know, because of so much that was closed down. But even now that things are opening up, take the time and go see them. You know, and like back there, you know, the more under control we get this mess, the more stuff at the park will be opened up, and you'll be able to do the rock wall and the zip line and all of that stuff too. You know, I mean, visit some national monuments. I forget who it was that I was watching on YouTube where he took a trip. He had to take a trip on business to DC, and on his trip there he had to go, or trip back I guess it was, he had to go past Gettysburg. Now he ended up at Gettysburg National Park, you know, or National Historic Site, whatever it is. He ended up there on a day when the buildings and stuff were closed, but you still could take the walk-in tour, and it was interesting, you know. But there's all kinds of things, and trust me when I tell you this, I grew up in places where a lot of U.S. history took place. The Northern Virginia, the DC area, and Virginia Beach, the Tidewater area. In the Tidewater area, you know, you've got Williamsburg and Jamestown and Yorktown and all of that stuff. and we did go to some of this stuff, but there were things in Virginia Beach that just didn't pay any attention to, that I should have, but I didn't, because I was a dummy, and I always said, well, I can go see that tomorrow. You know, I can go get in there tomorrow. You know, next week, next summer, next year, whatever. Same thing living in Rhode Island. There were a lot of places that I didn't go see that I should have, but there's always tomorrow. Well, I moved away and I didn't see them. Some of the things I took the family on a vacation there and finally got to see, you know, almost 25 years or so later after I moved. You know, things that were right down the street. You know, take a minute and stop and read the historic markers on the side of the road. And just in your local town. You'd be amazed at what you didn't know about the town that you live in. Could have lived there your entire life. And there'd be stuff you didn't even realize happened there. Okay, what are we doing here? We're doing nothing. We're just frickin' sitting here. That's what we're doing. We're sitting. But again, like I said, go see those things. Don't wait till tomorrow. Go ahead. Stop in. Schedule a couple of minutes and stop by and check it out. You know, a lot of these places aren't going to have grand entrances to them. You know, you just see it, you don't think much about it. And to be perfectly honest, we're going to ride past another one of those places here in a minute. That, you know, is a hike and bike area that nobody really thinks about. And I want to say there's two here. Over here you got another, I think it's a sand, either a sand or salt. I think it's sand. Another sand pit, like the one that I go by all the time in Thompson. Right now we're heading into Chardon. This is where we're heading now. Yeah, another sand and gravel pit. Big operation here. Best sand. Right here. Off to my left. But anyway, you know, again, I can't say it enough. Check out these local places, these local parks. Here's Walter C. Best Wildlife Preserve. I've never been to that one, I don't think. Been to this one up here. This parking lot, at least, for the Walter C. Best Wildlife Preserve. Right here. Looks like another pond or little lake or whatever back in there. Huh. I have to go there and check that one out. I mean, we got all these little parks all over the place here. I mean, like, all over the place. Cleats smelled good. And Cleats, for those of you who don't know, is a restaurant. It's like a bar and grill, like a sports pub kind of thing. And it smelled good. Not that I was smelling somebody's actual cleats, the footwear. That would be pretty raunchy. But anyway, you know, while stuff is closed down, you could go to the driving range. That's what's over here. Good way to socially distance, even after things start opening up, is going to hit the little white ball around and chase it around the golf course. That's something I didn't get the chance to do last year. I wanted to do it. I wanted to take my oldest to introduce golf to her. But we never got around to it. Because initially when they closed things down, they shut stuff down, like shut it down. You couldn't really do anything other The only thing you could do were things that were absolutely positively necessary. Going across another bike and hike trail. And, you know, by absolutely necessary, gas stations were open, grocery stores, pharmacies, and that was it. And then when they started opening stuff up, you know, there were a lot of softball tournaments that were canceled because of it. So when they started opening stuff up, the softball went non-stop because they tried to cram as many tournaments as they could into a small period of time. So there just wasn't the time to get her there. Hopefully this year there'll be the chance. And it'll be easier this time. Last year, Mrs. Motomattman's clubs were a little bit too long for her. This time last year, my oldest, who just turned 12, was right at 5 feet tall. So Mrs. Motomattman's golf clubs were a little bit too long. Now she, like I said, she just turned 12. Now she's just a hair under 5'6". So she's actually taller than Mrs. Motomattman. Hell, probably go out to try to use the clubs and it'll probably be too damn short. But anyway, I guess you'll have that. I think you'll probably be okay. Anyway, we're now in the heart of Chardon. You guys have seen this before, just not from this angle. Here's the Chardon Square. And we'll go up here around the square. Like I've done a million times before, and like I always do, I'll point out there's the Chardon Courthouse. And it's actually the second Chardon Courthouse. The first one burned down. I forget when, I want to say in the 1800s. So they built this building. It's a pretty nice building. And over here, I don't know if you can see it, but this is pretty cool. This building over here, this Edward Jones Investments, on top of it, the woman that owns that building has a little shop next to Edward Jones, but on top of it she put a rooftop patio, which is kind of cool. So I kind of like that. But anyway, kids is getting out of school, walking home, short sleeves. But anyway, again, like I was saying, I think positives came out of it. People going and doing things that they didn't do before, visiting parks, spending time at home, having movie nights with the family, you know, playing board games or cards, stuff like that. Eating dinner together as a family, something that in a lot of families had gone away because everything was rush with the daily lives. You know, making a big deal out of taking a family here to King Cone for ice cream in the evening. You know, a lot of that stuff that used to be commonplace that in recent years had kind of gone away, kind of gone out of fashion. We had gotten too busy with our lives to appreciate the simple, small little things. And I think a lot of that's coming back. At least I hope it is. You know, and like I said before, to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of times, a lot of us were too busy to do stuff because we were so busy being busy. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but that, I mean, it means exactly what I'm saying. We got busy with being busy. A lot of the stuff that we felt we had to do, we really didn't have to do. We just, I don't know, spent a lot of time, I guess, spinning our wheels. You know, because when the virus hit and the pandemic got bad, I mean, I had all kinds of time that I didn't have before. Mrs. motomattman had more time than she had before. It's not more time, well, she didn't have more time, she had more time to do other stuff. She had more time to do things with running the softball organization that our daughters are in, and more time to devote to that. But if she didn't have that, she'd have had a whole lot more time. And I think it's just that we cut out some of the crap that we were doing just to be doing it. You know? The other thing is appreciating days like today. Beautiful sunny day, warm outside. I mean, warm for what we're used to. I mean, I've got no Under Armour on underneath. I got a jacket and a hoodie and a t-shirt. I still have my colder weather gloves on. But that's because I don't really have like spring gloves. I have summer gloves, and then I have really hot weather summer gloves. And then I have these guys that I wear in the wintertime. Go around! What the hell is wrong with you? But anyway, you know, I don't have, you know, a dickie on to keep my throat warm. It's pretty warm. I mean, it'd be nice, you know, 10 degrees warmer, and it'd be absolutely perfect. I mean, perfect. Bright sunshine. There's wind. I mean, it's not terrible. I probably could have gotten away with the VFR when I first left the house. Before I started the vlog, it was really windy. And even at the beginning of the vlog, it was kind of windy. But the wind has died down, as you can see from the flags over here. It's just breezy. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Now, if the weather stays this way, we can get Mrs. motomattman's bike out, and she's got a license plate relocation kit for her bike, so we can put it on the side instead of in the back. Get that on and get that all hooked up. She can get her bike out. Get some things done on this, get some things done on the BFR, and on adjust the carbs on the Maxim so I can get it out again. Girls can get their dirt bikes out now that it's getting warmer. And the big problem is it went from the ground being frozen and having a layer of ice underneath the snow to being like a mud bog. And while that's not bad and it's fun to ride your dirt bike in it, I don't think Mrs. motomattman would have been happy with the girls tearing up the front yard. So, we haven't got those out yet. And it was just too much of a mess to get them up the hill in the back. And I don't think she wanted the backyard torn up. So, there was limited place for them to ride. But that's okay. it's warming up and drying up, and you ought to be able to get them out if the weather holds out. Maybe they'll get lucky and they'll be able to get them out Saturday. Can't do it today anyway because the little, like I said before, the little one's got softball practice this evening, and then tomorrow is another issue because the big one's got softball practice. So, and then Friday, the little one has pitching lessons in the evening. So Saturday, I don't think we've got anything going on. Sunday, both girls have a softball clinic, and the big one has pitching, and then they both have practice during the day. So Sunday's pretty much eaten up. Ooh, this dude here, where you got the skidder out. For those of you who don't know what a skidder is, a skid steer, a bobcat. That wasn't really a bobcat because bobcat's a brand, and that one was a deer. But that dude back there, he's got like a motocross course in his backyard and has freestyle ramps that he sets up at times. And a couple of years ago, Danger Boy Deegan was there doing stuff. But that's pretty cool, especially for this little hick town. But anyway, I guess I'll stop yapping here. I hope everybody's able to get out on 2. Hope the weather is starting to cooperate. I know that Viper 6 was saying that they've still got snow and cold and crap there in Canada. Hopefully it gets warmed up there soon. That everything opens up there. And the border, yeah, the border gets opened up. So we can go back and forth again. But anyway, hope you're able to get out on 2. And if you are, remember, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down. If you like what you see, make sure you click the like and subscribe button and punch that bell. And as of this video, I'm 1 subscriber away from 700. 1. My God, it's taken me a year to get the 99 more from the time I did the 600 subscriber drawing. Kind of crazy. But anyway, until next time, see ya!